Yeah, I thought it went really well. I mean, there's always ups and downs this time of year. But we had a really, really good contingent of 5K runners. Ethan kind of leading that pack. And as a freshman, what did I tell you were sitting at right now? He's like 3 seconds off of.
Oh, yeah, 3 seconds.
He's like 3 seconds off of top 25 in the country right now for a freshman. And then we had another freshman, Tristan Charles, who was about 10 seconds-ish right behind you. And then Mark Testa, who was right behind him. And so, we've never had this depth of competitiveness at Mesa in the 5K in that distance. And so I'm just really excited to see it. We got another guy, Nate Sanchez, who ran fairly well, but he's going to give it another shot this weekend down in Golden. And those three, though, should be into RMAC for sure. And then we had Tony Torres open up in the mile. He ran 4:03 converted, kind of a solo effort, similar to these guys. I think Ethan led like 90% of the race, so it was kind of a solo effort. So it'll be exciting to see in a couple weeks when we can get him, those other guys, and Tony in some races with some other people. We also had Lindsay Parsons, who PR'd by conversion-wise, almost 2 minutes in her 5K. And so she's down, I think she's ranked like 5th right now in the RMAC. And so she ran a high 17 converted 5K time. And then outside of distance, we had Hayden here, broke his own school record in the shot. We had a lot of good efforts across the board. We had some good sprints. Shea and Sierra ran well. And then our jump group has not really been able to do any approaches yet this year, and so they're doing really phenomenal considering they haven't really been able to practice their approach, which if anyone's watched triple jump or long jump or high jump, they're very, very technical, and so they've had almost no practice in the technical aspect of it, but they're still, they're winning pretty much all the meets that we're at. And so once we can get the weather a little nicer outside and they can get some approaches in, I'm ready to see them hit some big marks out there.
Well, the goal, honestly, is having a school record's weird because there are people who PR like on the team all the time. But like when you have a school record, it's like every single time you PR, you break the school record. So for me, it just kind of feels like PRing. If you don't know what PR means, personal record. But it's kind of surreal, honestly, because I didn't even throw shot put in high school. I came here, had some really good coaching at Mesa, and kind of just fell in love with the sport as a whole. That along with gaining 50 pounds in the past 4 years. And I'm elated, honestly, that I get to be a part of the senior class that's kind of like leading the track and field team into, honestly, what kind of looks like a D1 program in my opinion now. It's just night and day compared to when I came in 2018. And I got a lot of eligibility left, so that's weird to think about too. I'm a 4th year, but I'm only a sophomore for indoor and outdoor season. Mostly just looking forward to making a run for nationals. Right now, I think I'm sitting at 22nd in the nation in shot put, and I'm trying to make that right around 14. So I'd have to PR by another foot or two in the next few weeks in order to do that.
Ethan, kind of first effort for you and your fellow distance runners after cross-country season. How hard is that transition? Is it exciting to get back to racing, or nerves kind of starting over again?
I mean, I've always liked going from cross-country to indoor more, not only because the distance is shorter, but it's just indoor's fun. I love it. And when we went to Western to run the 5K, I mean, that was a magical race. And especially to do it in that building was just insane. Honestly, we kind of had a tough end to our cross-country season, so to, come back and do that was pretty special. So I'm excited.
Coach, the team ranked 18th in the national rankings today, and 10 event wins the other day. Is that kind of feed off from athlete to athlete, event through seeing each other perform and come up with wins?
Yeah, I think it does for sure, and I think at RMAC we're really going to see it. I think we're right up there with UCCS with being the strongest team across the board. Western UCCS are always up there, but I think we got a shot to win. We always have a shot to win RMAC these last couple of years as we've developed more of a well-rounded team. But I think this year, we truly do. We're really, really strong in our jumps, both men and women. Our short sprints are loaded. We've got a couple injuries in our long sprints and our 400 runners, but once we get those out of the way, I believe in those athletes that they're going to come back and compete really well. Obviously, with Hayden throwing the way he is, and we've got some other young throwers that are starting to, pick it up under Coach Micah. And then now that we're, starting to be competitive on the distance side, I think that, again, we're one of the most well-rounded teams. And so at RMAC, when we have those couple days of, just back-to-back events, we just have to get rolling, and the athletes got to get loud for each other. I know that we've got some of the loudest coaches in the conference here. And so, I don't know, that Gunnison's only 2 hours away. We don't have an indoor facility here, and so, that'd be my goal is to make that kind of like a home meet feeling and get our first RMAC championship there.
And one of the reasons I love covering sports is because, hard work pays off, right? In athletics, you can see that right off the bat. You were mentioning, too, like, to beat your PR by a foot. Does the success you've run into, does it change the way you set your goals and the way you kind of train?
The goal for me is, since I do have more eligibility, first and foremost is to get school paid for. I'm the first person in my family to go for a master's degree, let alone I think a bachelor's degree. So that's the first thing in my mind that I see with success is I get excited about that. The second thing, when it comes to changing my goals, I would say the thing that I've had my sights on since the day that I saw that glimmer of hope at conference in high school when I won my conference. I went to Fort Collins High School. Since that day that I signed with Mesa, just on the phone, on an iPhone with the Pen app or whatever, the number one thing that I've wanted to do is be an All-American. And for me to do that, I don't really see those little 1 to 2 foot jumps as my actual goal. What I see my goal is to go just see what that All-American status would take. So right now, it's a couple feet away, it's 3-4 feet away. And for me, I'm not really the strongest guy even in the RMAC, but I do work my tail off. I'm the only person from my class that is still on the team in terms of throws. So I've been here the longest out of all the throwers. The next closest one is a sophomore. So I would say changing my goals, trying to get a double provo in the weight throw and the shot put, but mostly trying to focus on, in the next 2-3 years, being an All-American in multiple events. Outdoor will shift my focus to 3 events, which will be crazy because I've never had the pressure of hitting the provisional list in 3 events. But the goal ultimately would be even possibly a national championship in discus in the next 3 years. Get up there and shot put. But I don't really have a figure, but my goals do change to that.
This week's plans, splitting the team to a couple different meets. They talk to us about goals or what to get out.
Yeah, we've got a group going to School of Mines. We got another group going to New Mexico, and we're just sharpening up a little bit for the next weekend after that, which is our big meet out in New Mexico. But we've got our sprints group primarily at the New Mexico one, then our jumps group primarily at Mines this weekend. And then we've got a couple distance runners, a couple that haven't opened up yet because they had COVID over winter break, and so they're progression into the season's been a little delayed, but they're going to open up at New Mexico this weekend, and then hopefully hit a good time to get in there next weekend. But yeah, just trying to get a little bit more experience before championship season comes up on us. We have a really, really shortened indoor year this year. I think we got 4 meets that we're able to go to before the championship season starts, and so they're all kind of back to back. So this weekend again, I think is just a little bit, trying to get those athletes one more opportunity before we get that big meet in 2 weeks.
Question of the week: the Winter Olympics starting soon. Favorite Winter Olympic sport and why?
For me, it's the bobsled, because obviously I wouldn't be able to do that. I'm way too big for that. But I'm jealous of the single-person bobsled. Is one of the most impressive things I've ever seen. And what I thought was kind of funny is, if you guys follow, I'm not necessarily a CrossFitter myself, but if you guys follow the CrossFit Games, there's a gal named Tia Claire Toomey who has won 5 straight CrossFit Games championships, and then also she just made her second Olympics. Once was in weightlifting, and then now she's in the bobsled, so I'm looking forward to watching her this year.
I gotta go bobsled again with Hayden.
We could be bobsled team.
Yeah. I mean, as a kid, everybody goes sledding in Colorado. So to be at the top of the hill and like imagining yourself as like, oh, this is like a bobsled, like it's special like that. So big bobsled guy.
I know we have a local Grand Junction athlete going for the biathlon, which is pretty cool, so I'll definitely be rooting for that. The event that I think should be in the Winter Olympics is cross country. There's been talks about that over the last few years, but making it not on golf courses like everyone knows it now, but making it like, muddy, up some hills, over some hay bales, people falling, and I don't know. That's what cross country should be. So that's what I'd like to see in the Olympics.